Good morning, everyone. CEO Regina Idoate Tawado, Chi Chalagi, Chi Echi. Hi, my name is Regina Idoate. I am a citizen of Cherokee Nation and also a mother and an associate professor in the College of Public Health in the Department of Health Promotion. And I'm super grateful and very much enjoying being a new member of the IDS-CTR Community Engagement and Outreach Corps as the co-director with Emily, working so closely with Dr. King as well, who is the director. So grateful to be here today to get to talk with you all about positionality a little bit. This is something that's been really important to me in my work as a researcher and just even as a human being living in this world. So I'm going to share my screen with you all and hope that this works. All right. Cool. So I have a lot of roles in our college. One is Director of Spirituality, Culture, and Health. And the other is Associate Professor, which I shared with you. But really, I come here today as the co-director of Community Engagement and Outreach with the IDS-CTR. And as a colleague and partner with many of you that are there in the room, and a grateful collaborator to be able to work with so many of you. So we're going to talk about positionality. What is it? Why does it matter? And then how can we reflect on our positionality and integrate that into our work? These are our 4 objectives for today. We're going to just define it, and the definition that I share with you is not exhaustive, but just kind of what the definition that has developed for me over time in recognizing and working with positionality and particularly in research, but also in other areas. And then explain how positionality can influence research and evaluation and just the work we do and how we approach our relationships to people and places and projects. And then we're going to reflect on our identities, so your identity, life history, experiences, values in relation to our work, your work. And you're actually going to have homework, or not homework, classwork, to draft a positionality statement. So if you have paper and pencil or pen handy, I know that's super old school, or a tablet or a phone or something, or a computer you can type on, we will need some kind of writing utensil or device to complete the classwork today. Okay, so I'm going to give you 2 big definitions, and this is because there are 2 different ways of understanding positionality. One is really that, like, our general worldview, that overall understanding of the world and the lens through which we see and experience and interpret life. This is really often shaped by race, place, culture, ethnicity, social class, age, gender, sexuality, language, religion, so many different factors, right? Politics, and then just lived experience that we all carry with us into the work that we do. So there's that kind of general overarching sense of our position in the world and what we bring with us into the work that we do. And then there's also positionality that's very specific to the project that we're talking about, or the work that we're doing in this moment, in this day, in this time. And so that's really the position that you adopt in relation to any project. I'm going to call it project. That could be an art project, it could be research, it could be evaluation, it could be a program that you're working with. Whatever it is you're working on, it's really like a way of reflecting on and understanding where we are situated, how we are situated within that specific project. So including like the subject content you're examining, the population, who you're working with, the ways that you're working, the methods, mediums you're implementing, and then how we share that, how we disseminate that. And I know later on today we're going to talk more about dissemination, but these are the 2 main things, like general worldview and then specific to this project. And when we get into the classwork assignment, that will be specific to a project. So as we work through this, I'm going to encourage you or invite you to think about a specific project that you have on your mind, or that you're like a role that you're stepping into, or something that you're taking on that you could apply this to today. Okay, so positionality is always situation and context dependent. Yes, we have that general worldview. We also come into it with these factors. Some of them are really fluid, right? Some of these things change over the course of our lifetime. Some of these things change by influences we have, lived experience. Some of them are fixed, like I'm always going to be Cherokee, right? Some of these actually, though, just kind of change based off of living and learning. So positionality is really dependent on, however, the project, the task, the research, the medium, whatever it is that we're doing. It's about like that how and why we do what we do. But if you see this little chart here, this gives you an idea of how many different factors influence our positionality, and then a sense too of which of those may change over time. So why does this matter? This is why am I here? Why did I get this space this morning to even talk about this? Because, and this is hopefully what you remember. If you remember anything from our talk today, I hope it's this. Because we are trained as researchers, as evaluators, as professionals to put on this hat, right? We're told to put on your researcher hat, be unbiased, like step into this sterile room where there's no influences, and do things in this way that doesn't bring in or consider or reflect on or integrate your positionality, right? We're just researchers. We're just evaluators. We're just this health professional doing this task at this time. And none of who we are, where we came from, where we're at now, what our hopes and dreams are, the way we see things, envision things going, doesn't influence that, right? So what I'm going to share with you and encourage you to do is take off that hat, silly hat, and just be who we are and own it, right? So this is something that's just worked for me over time. And the reason why is because this really does matter. We don't do work that's completely unbiased. The reality is that we bring who we are, our lived experience, into the work that we do. So it influences like our aims, how we even set up our goals and what we want to accomplish, the design, how we accomplish that, right? If it's research, that comes down to the population we're working with. Like I'm Cherokee, so I most of my work is specifically focused on Indigenous populations. Methods, how we do it, right? The data that we're collecting, what we care about, what do we want to know, the questions that we're asking, how we even analyze data, and then how we share that out. All of that is influenced by where we're coming from, right? And how we see things. Same thing is true for how we implement projects or interventions or programs, or research studies. Same for ethics, a huge piece of this. Like what are our guiding principles? You know, a lot of us, this IDEA CTR and the community engagement and outreach core is very focused on community engaged research. Well, what are the principles that are guiding that research, that are helping us make the decisions that we make as we face challenges, or even just design it from the get-go? And then our outcomes and our results, all of that is influenced by our role and our responsibilities, our purpose, and creates that meaning in not just research. I have research here, but like in whatever work we're doing. So it's not just about how it influences the work, how we approach the work, right? But also how we consider the power dynamics within the greater perspective or worldview, and how we're interacting with the world, but also within the project that we're working on. So recognizing those power dynamics and calling it out, right? Coming in with that humility, recognizing what we're up against, what are the dynamics, what's going on here, who am I in this place, right? Who are you in this place? So we look at this wheel of power and privilege, and establishing our positionality and understanding that of others is so important, and being able to navigate the work that we do from a good place, and really creating like sustainable good change. So I'm gonna encourage you to just take a moment to look at these questions and kind of self-reflect, um, specific to a project you have in mind. So I'm even gonna, if you're comfortable with it, ask you to close your eyes, and I'm gonna read these questions to you. So think of whatever project you have in mind right now that you're entering into, and ask yourself, what are some of my personal or professional experiences that I've had prior to this project that I'm carrying with me, that will inform what I'm doing, that will influence how I do things, that have maybe even guided how I approach this from the very first thought of it. Personal or professional experiences, so lived experience that you've had in relation to this project. And then I'll ask, what is your motivation to be a part of this project? Why do you even want to be involved in this? Was it just because you were asked to be a part of this? Is it because it's important to you? You value some piece of this work, maybe the methods, maybe you really care about the people who are involved in it. Maybe you're really curious to know the answers that you're trying to find. So what's motivating you to be a part of this work? It's a long time to keep your eyes closed. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so next question. What are your perspectives and even theoretical foundations, if you have those to come back to, or like cultural values, guiding principles that are related to either the education that you've received or experience, but like related to your education and interests specific to this project? Like what do you know? What do you believe that will influence how you do things? And then this is the one that really brings up a bit more humility, because I think all of us have a tiny bit of that imposter syndrome, right? Am I really prepared for this work? Like nobody's it's like becoming a parent. Like you're never 100% like ready for everything, right? You kind of have to figure things out as you go. But this next question is getting at, okay, so where are we? What do we need to figure out? So what are your qualifications? And that's a big, scary question for exploration of the field. But really, like, what's brought you to this point that this project has been placed at your feet? And that could be academic degrees, it could be titles, it could be certifications, it could be work experience, years of experience, just kind of answering to yourself, what have I, what have I accomplished up to this point? What are my qualifications for, why was this really the bigger question, why was this project given to me, right? Why am I in this place, this position to be working on this? Okay, and now you can keep your eyes closed if you want to. I know it's early. It's even earlier here in Arizona where I am. Um, or you can open them and see a beautiful picture of a red road. And just imagine yourself here on this road. Where are you in relation to this project? Where do you stand right now? Are you right at the beginning? Are you in the middle? Do you feel like you're just ready to take off and start this work? And then I'm going to ask you to kind of reposition, see yourself on this road and kind of in the middle, and think about what's behind you. Where are you from? And where have you been? Where you're at right now on this road, like in the middle somewhere, on one side, on the other, maybe off into, bushwhacking out there, off into the trees. And then where are you going? And maybe where you're going isn't down this already paved path. Maybe it is like a whole other trail that you're blazing. These are the questions we're going to ask today in preparation for writing your own positionality statement. So where are you from? And I have a few other questions that just can kind of help develop the answers to these things. You do not need to answer them all, but just something to think through. And I'm going to do that with you. So I'm going to share you some of my answers, not all of them, but to give you kind of an idea of how I've worked through this in coming to the work that I do. So where am I from? I'm a citizen of Cherokee Nation, which I shared with all of you guys. I'm the direct descendant of Nanyehi Ward, who is known by many names, but really is known for negotiating the understandings really between the Cherokee people and the settlers. So she was kind of a political figure. She was also the beloved Cherokee woman for being able to negotiate those power dynamics, political issues, and help people come together and work together for good. So I carry that with me in the work that I do, and I really see things. I try to frame the work that I do in a way that integrates Western, what I've been trained in Western academia, right? The Western methodologies and paradigms and worldview perspectives, along with Indigenous and specifically Cherokee paradigms, worldviews, guiding principles, those things. That's my great grandmother, Emily, in the middle there, the oldest one. This is some of my family back in Oklahoma. And she was a teacher. She was an elementary school teacher, and I think that's part of me. It just is what I carry with me in my genes. So not even in our lived experience, right? But even our ancestors' lived experience. And then these are my parents. My mom is a retired nurse, and my dad's a builder, construction dude. And then my grandmother there on the right is she was an artist and a teacher too. So all of that influences who I am and how I do things, right? Another thinking of like me being Cherokee, part of what I carry with me is my guiding principles as a Cherokee woman. Those values of spirituality, having a sense of place, the importance of educating and building up future generations, and honoring our elders, our ancestors in the past. Sense of humor, which I have to get through all this hard work. And group harmony and community and kin relationships, the importance of like that community engagement, right? This is all a part of the work that I do, and it comes from who I am and how I see things. Another piece of that is just seeing things through a Cherokee medicine wheel model, kind of knowing that everything is connected, we're all related, and we can see things out into 7 different directions, which also makes me a very messy person. And it's like super complex, and like there's no black and white it's just who I am. There's always a gray area because there's all these other influencing pieces and ways that I can see things. And that's just part. If anyone in the room works with me, you're probably laughing right now because I am very messy and all over the place because I see things in lots of different ways. But ultimately in research, this has resulted in me really focusing on community engaged research, arts-based research, Indigenous research, and workforce development and education. And so all of like where I come from matters and influences what I do. And you'll see that more as you see the work that I do. But next question, where have you been? Here's a few questions to just read through and take in for yourself. I'm going to answer this for you. So I've been at a lot of schools. I have studied for way too long. 20 years I was in college. It's crazy. But all of that has been a part of influencing who I am. So I studied psychology, and then I studied Spanish language and culture, and then I studied Christian spirituality, and then I studied preventive and societal medicine, and then I studied maternal and child health. So a nice word for that is interdisciplinary. But I really am kind of all over the place, but have found that all of those things can factor into the work that I do, and help me to see things in different ways. So along those lines, I've had a lot of different teachers. These are some of them. Many more in the room right there. Steve Tamayo, Aislinn Rookwood, Dr. King. I don't know who else is all there, but I do know that many of you are my teachers, and I learn with and from everyone I get to work with. But some have had really significant impacts on my life and the way that I see and do things. And I could spend hours just going over each of these amazing individuals in this picture, but we don't have that kind of time. So where have I been? I've worked with a lot of different tribes. I was the director of wellness for a tribe in the Southwest for the Pueblo of Tesuque, and have really enjoyed and had the privilege and honor to work with the Omaha Public Schools Native Indigenous Centered Education Program for the past, I don't know, maybe 7 years now. So all of this is part of what I bring into the work that I do. And then this is really kind of the work that I do. It's really focused on, again, it's messy. I'm not an expert at anything. So maternal and child health, environmental health, cancer, diabetes, obesity, you name it, mostly focused though on native peoples. And then I try to address those areas or promote health in those areas through workforce development and education, through the arts, and then through community engagement. Okay, next question. So where are you now? And I'll give you a minute to read through these questions and just consider that in relation to the project you have in mind. So I'm going to move into where am I now? And I'm actually going to give a disclaimer because I'm in Arizona in the Tonto Apache land. So I'm saying here's where I am now. I work for the University of Nebraska. I would not have gotten through. I'm kind of surprised. I'm sure Steve's sitting in the room going, how is Regina presenting on positionality and hasn't done a land acknowledgement? But I was waiting for this moment. So land acknowledgements are a statement of positionality, right? Bios are a statement of positionality. This is kind of the where am I right now, but bringing in the history, where we come from, where we've been, and integrating that into these statements of acknowledging that where we're at, our situatedness. So where I am now, oops, this is old. I've been talking about this stuff for too long. I'm an associate professor. I didn't change this, sorry, at UNMC, and an MPI for the YES program, Youth Enjoy Science program, which works to train Native students in research education specific to cancer research, but just helping promote our Native representation in the health professions and research in general. But super important that we recognize, where are we right now? Well, I'm working for the University of Nebraska, which means I'm working on lands represented by Native nations whose sovereignty and governance in treaty lands existed way before the state of Nebraska, and that these nations are all a part, like those lived experiences are part of the land and part of the people who we're working with in this area. So I just want to take the time to acknowledge that and recognize that the Omaha, Ponca, Santee, Ho-Chunk, or Winnebago Lakota, Pawnee, Cheyenne, Arapaho, Meskwaki, Oto, Missouri, Iowa, Kaw, Wichita, Kickapoo, and Delaware nations are all a part of not only the spirit of our place here, but also all that comes in, that has carried us to this point where we are, and given us this space and this place and this opportunity to do this work. It is a gift. I'm also a mom. So I had a baby. I'm 47, and I had a baby in 20 during the pandemic. Gaiska Noksi Iloate. And he's Basque and he's Cherokee, and so we call him Chevas. But he's definitely influenced the work that I do, and it has kind of turned me into focusing much more on maternal and child health, and Indigenous maternal and child health particularly, and also gives me a new lens for seeing things, seeing the work that I do with Native youth and building up future generations, because I see that now through my son's eyes and what I hope and dream for him, right? So this is where I am now too, just working with a lot of awesome people out in the communities, in the labs, at UNMC, and even in Arizona. So I live in Arizona. I'm sure you've gathered that by now. It's 6:40 a.m. here. And so our project, the Youth Enjoy Science project that I get to be an MPI on, is partnered with the College of Medicine in Arizona. So that's, again, an influencing factor, right? I live here, I went to school here, we have these partnerships, relationships, connections, and so now we have Native youth that are participating in the YES program, not only the Buffett Cancer Center and College of Public Health, but also in Arizona at the College of Medicine at University of Arizona. All right, next big question for you. Where are you going? I'll let you read through and consider these questions. And maybe just one question pops out to you. You do not, we're not going to be writing a book or a biography today. It's just a short statement, about what we care about, what's really most salient in relation to this project. All right. So I'm going to move into where I'm going, and I'm not going to go over all of this. I have I think that just all that I've just shared with you, there's no way of denying how much that's influenced the work that I do and how I do it, and now where I'm going. I mean, it's really guided my path forward, and I see kind of 4 different areas now of focus for me, which is super focused for a messy person like myself. But one of those is workforce development and training future healthcare, future generations of healthcare professionals and researchers. And I see that in the work that we get to do with the IDEA CTR, but also in the Youth Enjoy Science program, community health workers trainings I get to work in, a new research training project we're applying for, which would be the project that I have in mind right now as we talk through this, doing work with Dr. King and many others, Aislinn, who's in the room there, on understanding the impact of discrimination on underrepresented minority students and professionals in the health, pursuing the health professions and working within the health professions. And then I Heart Community Coalitions, which many of you in the room are part of too. That's really understanding how the community comes together to build up Indigenous health education and resources for specifically Native health professionals. So that's one area. The other piece that's really evolved over the last few years, since I became a mom, is work in Indigenous maternal and child health. So I'm working with the Winnebago tribe on understanding Indigenous pregnancy care. That's a nationwide project, but then specifically with Winnebago on understanding wellness. We call it wellness advocacy zones and opportunities for kinship involvement, which is really looking at how we can strengthen kinship involvement in pregnancy in the Winnebago community. to improve outcomes for mamas and babies. And then a couple of other projects that are specific to maternal and child health that are really just starting to happen for me because of who I am, because of my positionality, I think, and my interests have then just gone towards, well, this just makes sense to me. Yeah, it's also part of what I was trained in. So I do have a graduate certificate in maternal and child health, funded by the Indian Health Service, but I wasn't really doing that kind of I wasn't doing research in that area. I had worked in child development before, so all these things factor in, but now this is really like a strong focus area for me. Another one that I didn't even talk about today is more work on Alzheimer's disease and dementia and memory. And so there's a piece that's kind of starting to grow around that. And then the other piece is focused on cancer prevention, research and treatment. So now the big question, and the class work comes back to you. The big question is, okay, where are you from? Where have you been? Now, where are you right now? Even just being participating in this research institute, right? And then where are you going? Where do you want that to lead to? How do you envision that? And then how does this really influence that project, your project you have in mind? So we've got about 15 minutes left. And as many of you who know me know that I talk a lot, but I'm also very comfortable with silence. And so I'm going to give some quiet time now, kind of uninterrupted time to allow you to reflect on these questions and your responses to these questions in relation to that specific project that you have in mind, and either and try to jot down answers to, I'm going to give you a little template. It is not exhaustive. This is not like how you write a positionality statement, but it is a start and a place to start from, and a way to get something down on paper. So it's kind of a fill in the blank. And before I do that, I'm going to stop sharing and read you all an example, because I've found that is what really helps. Well, sorry, I'm going to go back, changing my mind. I'm going to go back and give you the fill in the blanks so that you can see if you hear them as I read my positionality statement. So let's share again. Sorry about that. I'm not all on at 6:30. Okay. All right. So this is the fill in the blank. I am. My people. I was raised. I have been influenced by. My educational or work experience includes. I believe, or I know. I value, I feel, I love. This project is meaningful to me because. I hope for this project to, or I want, and I will, or I strive to, right? So I'm going to ask you to listen for these things, and they may not be in these exact words. Some of them are, which is actually kind of where I've pulled this template from, reading positionality statements. I'm going to ask you to listen for those as I read my positionality statement. So you can close your eyes here too as well if you want. I'm an Indigenous health researcher, an enrolled member of the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma, and an associate professor of health promotion in the College of Public Health at the University of Nebraska Medical Center. My previous roles include that of the Division Director of Health and Wellness for the Pueblo of Tesuque and Child Development Program Evaluator for the Interdisciplinary Center for Program Evaluation at the Monroe-Meyer Institute. I have a PhD in Preventive and Societal Medicine, master's degrees in Spanish language and culture and Christian spirituality, and a graduate certificate in maternal and child health epidemiology. As a result of my studies and work opportunities, I have lived in California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Nebraska. Although my family's from Oklahoma, I grew up in the Southwest. I am the great-granddaughter of a teacher, granddaughter of an artist, and the daughter of a nurse and a builder. I'm a direct descendant of Nanyehi Ward, the beloved Cherokee woman known for being both a warrior and a peacemaker who negotiated understandings between settlers and the Cherokee people. I stand on my ancestors' shoulders as I challenge colonized approaches to research by blending Western science with Indigenous knowledge to promote Native American maternal and child health. I believe that my ways of being, which includes my worldviews, history, culture, values, attitudes, roles, and rights in relationship to other, the creator, and self, inform my ways of knowing through sensing, viewing, listening, reading, watching, intuiting, observing, exchanging, sharing, conceptualizing, assessing, modeling, engaging, and applying stories and skills and experiences and thoughts and emotions, which inform my ways of doing, which are scientific, artistic inquiry processes, techniques, methodologies, and ethical principles. I believe in this work, both personally and professionally. I am an Indigenous mother who has experienced cultural incongruences with the medical model of maternity care as a high-risk pregnant patient. As a social and behavioral scientist, I study community systems in relation to culture, history, and geography in an effort to improve population health. My active research falls into three broad areas: centering Native American health, medical humanities, health disparities, and community systems. I've dedicated the past 10 years to research, outreach, and teaching, primarily focused on increasing Native American representation in the health professions and advancing the health of Native American populations. I currently serve as co-PI on the Readiness and Education for American Indian Maternal and Child Health Project, in partnership with the Ogallala Sioux Tribe and the Pine Ridge community, where we are applying the community readiness model to develop and deliver programming in an effort to reduce the prevalence of fetal alcohol spectrum disorders. I also serve as co-investigator on a pilot project developing and piloting a framework for Indigenous-centered pregnancy care and a number of other maternal and child health projects: pregnancy loss, lived experiences, spiritual responses and recovery, parent-child interactions, and parent-reported stress among parents of infants and toddlers with congenital heart disease before and after a community-based music program, tracking infant progress statewide, and NICU follow-up. My work's grounded in partnerships with groups in community-based organizations and individual leaders in Native communities. My background, training, professional activities, and research to date have all prepared me to offer expertise in Indigenous methodologies and community-engaged research in support of Native American maternal and child health and wellness. I love to collaborate across disciplines, cultures, and colleges, and I aspire for time and space to play, pray, wonder, and wander through the research process. My community-engaged research aims to develop and evaluate Indigenous-centered models of maternity care, incorporating traditional Indigenous practices, beliefs, and values with evidence-based antepartum health care. If this model of care results in improved health outcomes, the research can help advocate for indigenizing prenatal care service models. I want my work to demonstrate the relevance of context in mobilizing communities to promote health, and I strive to work with research teams and community teams with at least 50% Indigenous representation. And I pledge to do all I can to ensure that my work respects and uplifts Indigenous peoples, families, communities, and organizations. That's long, and that is not what we're going to do today. But that's something that has evolved over time, and I hope you can see the specific project, like the specific area. I know I've given you all these different areas that I work in, but you can see from hearing that what I was focused on in this, that is maternal and child health, Indigenous maternal and child health. And that's what I encourage you to do today, is to focus, keep that general worldview in mind, but focus on that one project. And take the next 10-ish, we're down to 5, 6, 7 minutes to answer these questions for yourself, to fill in the blanks. And now I'm going to give you completely uninterrupted time to write your own positionality statement. Wado, thank you. I will chime back in at the hour. And hopefully we'll have a chance to share out. All right, we're coming back. I know this is a lot, and I hope that everyone has a good start to really having a positionality statement written, and this is something that will evolve over time. And you can just kind of keep coming back to, but hopefully those more salient pieces are the things, the fill in the blanks that are most important to you came up, and you were able to get some of that down, or in place. And I just encourage everyone um, to continue to reflect on your positionality and that of others. So these questions aren't just for us, but also for all those we get to work with. So we all know where each other are coming from and can find those connections and collaborate in more sustainable and positive and good ways. So with that, I want to say Wado, thank you. And if you're a praying person, I invite you to join me in this. If you're not, you can just tune me out. But I just ask that the Creator will bless the rest of this day, that such good work will come from this, and that we will all be strengthened by the place that we're in our positionality, those who came before us, and this ground that we stand on right now, and that it will carry our work forward in good ways, and that we'll be open in our hearts and minds and souls and and our bodies to receive and share information today, so that we can build these strong collaborations and partnerships and continue the good work that we've been doing and refreshed and renewed in positive ways. Wado.